In this video, you will hear a story about the beings that inspired the Pokemon Duskull. Duskull's design and Pokedex entries echo multiple phenomena in Japanese folktales. One is the Hitodama, a ball of colored flame that represents the human soul when it leaves the body. Another is Onibi. The symbols that write the word Onibi mean demon and fire, but Onibi come in many varieties and are understood differently all over Japan. In Okinawa, they are said to take the shape of birds, and they are able to set ablaze anything they graze with their wings. In some stories, Onibi represent a malevolent spirit, and in many others, their appearance suggests the presence of a monster, such as a magic fox. Now, let us reference Duskull's Pokedex entries before we journey into the woods. It doggedly pursues its prey wherever it goes. However, the chase is abandoned at sunrise. Duskull's victims suffer an intense chill as the Pokemon siphons their life force away, glaring at them with its bright red eye all the while. In a moment, you will see why Duskull is no modern monster. Long ago, in a certain place, there lived a young couple in love. One day, the man had to go to town on business, and so his wife would be left alone in their house in the woods. The man expected to return after dark, and he reminded his wife that the spirits of the dead liked to steal souls from people who weave late at night. So as a precaution, she was to wrap her lips around a knife while she worked, so that no spirit would be able to pull her soul through her mouth. The woman told her husband that she would heed his advice, and upon looking at the clouds, she grabbed his hat from the corner and told him he would need it for tonight's rain. The husband thanked his wife and went out on his business. That night, just as the man had expected, night fell before he could return home, and just as his wife had foreseen, a heavy rain was now falling from the sky. As he made his way through the woods, he came upon a graveyard, and there, two floating balls of flame approached him. The man immediately recognized them as spirits of the dead, and he was paralyzed with fear because he knew if they realized he was alive, they would certainly steal his soul. When they got close to him, the balls of fire gave way to hovering skeletons wearing tattered cloaks and bamboo hats. When they came before him, the spirits stopped, and because they were blind, one asked the man to tell them who he was. To protect his soul, he lied and said, "I am one of you." But the spirits were suspicious. "One of us, you say, but your voice is not familiar." So the man told them that he had died only recently, and tonight was his first night as a spirit. But the spirits demanded proof. "If you are one of us," they said, "then let us feel your hat." So the spirits reached their hands out and felt the bamboo hat that the man's wife had given him that morning. And it was the same as their hats, so they grew less suspicious. Then they said, "If you are dead, then let us feel your leg." So the man grabbed his staff that had fallen on the ground, and the spirits felt that it was skinny like the bones of their legs, and they believed his lies. Since it was his first night dead, the spirits invited the man to follow them. They had heard rumors that further along the path, there was a house with a woman who liked to weave late into the night. Tonight, they were going to steal her soul. And since the man had never done such a thing before, he ought to watch them to learn how. The man realized that the weaver they spoke of was his wife, and so he nervously followed them on the path to his home. When they arrived, the man peered inside to see his wife weaving, just as she had planned. But luckily, just as he had cautioned her, she held a knife in her lips. The spirits could not take her soul while the knife was there, so they waited, and they waited, until the weaving woman fell asleep, and the knife fell from her lips. Seizing the opportunity, one of the spirits reached into its cloak and pulled out a bag and a fan. Then, the spirit hovered to the woman and held the bag up to her lips as it waved the fan, coaxing her soul to leave her body. When her soul was in the bag, the spirit pulled the drawstring, sealing it inside. The man could not fathom life without his wife, and so he thought up another quick lie. He told the spirits that a more beautiful woman lived in the house next door, and he asked to borrow the fan and bag so that he could practice by stealing her soul. The spirit handed him the bag, but of course, there was no neighboring house, and by the man's estimation, no woman anywhere more beautiful than his wife. Instead, the man turned the corner to the back of his home and scaled to the rooftop. Then, he flapped the fan and bag by his sides as he yelled like a rooster. And the blind spirits, believing the sun was rising, fled in terror of its light. The man took a deep sigh. But then, his foot slipped on the wet roof, and he fell on his back by the front door. His wife's soul floated out from the bag and into her body, and as she woke up, she looked over to spot him. "Come inside," she said. "That's no place to take a nap."